Hello, it's Joanne Ernst here from joanneernst.com, and I'm really excited. I've got a lovely lady I'm going to interview today, my friend Leanne Juliette, also from the UK.
Hi.
Hi, we met a few years, I think it said on Facebook, was it 9 years ago, 6 or 9 years? It was quite a while ago.
7. I think it was 7 something,
7 years.
was it? 5,
Yeah,
6, yeah, 7 years, yeah.
yeah. So we met as a training event quite a few years ago, kind of kept in touch kind of a little bit on Facebook, but then we just reconnected recently. And after I spoke to Leanne, I thought, oh, I need to interview her and just share her amazingness with you
High
all.
energy.
Her energy, yeah, and just, yeah, you've got so much to share about tuning into your intuition and following, those hunches and so on. So I think that's what I'd really love to kind of
Yeah.
explore more, and your entrepreneurial journey too. So come on, tell us how did you get started on all of this and kind of your journey. Actually, I'm going to just try and there we go. That's a better view.
You better, yeah. Yeah, so my current journey, because I've been on many journeys, but as most people can relate to, my current journey, I started my business about 9 months ago. That's at leannejuliette.com. But my entrepreneurial journey started back in 2012 when I got involved in network marketing. I was working in a job at the time, wasn't really happy. I knew that I wanted to do something more, but didn't know what I wanted to do. And that's when network marketing came along for me. I'm not involved in network marketing anymore. Love the industry, but it's not my path. And I just it kind of piqued my interest as to there being something more out there rather than just being in a job and going to work and coming home, paying my bills. Like, I wanted something more, but I didn't really know what it was. And I tried a few different paths, a few different businesses, but never really felt at home with the industry as much as I love it. And I see other people being successful. I came to the realization in 2017 that it wasn't my path. And
Right.
2017 was when I started going through my spiritual awakening. So I started uncovering more about myself and understanding a little bit more about where I wanted to go and really opening my gifts and my abilities a lot more. Like, I'm very intuitive, psychic, visionary, and I categorize myself as a soul catalyst because I'm all about helping to awaken who people are so that you can see your potential and see where you're supposed to be going. And so my
can just say she is amazing at that.
Thank you.
Put that in there. How did you know, like, what, just kind of explain that. I know you kind of telling us the journey, but how did you know, like, that other thing wasn't right and this was, like, how did you come to develop where you are?
I kind of, like, so my spiritual awakening started in 2017, and I remember I was working for a local college. I'd gone back part-time after having my daughter in 2015, and I'd gone back to work, and I just was not happy. Like, I was so bored in this job, and I just felt unfulfilled in my life. And a chance meet, like, I'm all about chances. There's no coincidence at all. It's all synchronicities. And I had a chance meeting with an ex-colleague from my last job, the one that I was in when I was pregnant. And she was like, do you know what? We're looking to take somebody on part-time. Do you want to come back? I was like, okay then. Went back, and it kind of like, it was like one of those meetings that was supposed to happen, because that's when I got back into tarot again, because I'm a tarot reader. That's when I got back into tarot. We're a little bit bored, well, not bored, so a bit quiet sometimes, so we called it Tarot Tuesday, and we just sit in the office doing tarot readings. Get paid for it, as you do. But it kind of, like, I started going back more into my intuition and uncovering more about myself. And the job that I'd gone back into, it's a government, it was a charity, but they worked on government contracts to help people back into employment who were had health conditions or disabilities. And we were supposed to be bidding for another new big contract, but they pulled out the bid. And I was like, here we go again. Like, I've gone back to something else. I've been made redundant twice, so I was like, here we go again. Another job. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And it was then that I had this realization, like, you don't have to do this. Like, you keep talking about having a business, and I was in network marketing but wasn't really doing anything with it.
Right, your heart wasn't in it.
Your own thing. No, it wasn't. I was like, go and do your own thing. I already had a website set up, which I'd actually titled Not So Yummy Mummy. But I found that I was just complaining a little bit, because my idea was that it was about sharing what real motherhood is like rather than the glossy images.
Yeah.
I wasn't really feeling it. So I ended up rebranding my website, or having helped to build my website more and put some blogs out there, and then just rebranding to my current domain name, leannejuliette.com. And just really kind of falling into allowing situations and circumstances to happen to me. I started connecting with different people. I started joining very spiritual groups and seeing other people like myself, which then brought my energy out a lot more. And I started realizing that I could create an online business, because all I ever wanted to do when I started a business back in 2012 when I joined network marketing was have an online global business.
Right. So you had that clarity, like right.
I had that clarity, and I knew that that's what I wanted, but I didn't. I thought that was my vehicle because that's what a lot of people said. But it was 2017 when I started going through my spiritual awakening and started understanding myself a lot more, that I started realizing that I didn't want to be in a job, and that this was a perfect opportunity, that my job was going to end, and it was a perfect opportunity for me to just launch myself as I kept saying I was going to. But it was
like
not
actually
having to fall back on. Actually do it. And just I started working more on my website and understanding that I wanted to create courses, I wanted to coach people, I wanted to do different things. And the clarity kind of came about the more I connected with other people and the more I saw what other people were doing.
That's a really important kind of point there, because actually the clarity comes from action, from taking action, what feels right, and then if it doesn't feel
aligned action as well. And I always say to people, because I am obviously very intuitive, so I always say to people, if something feels icky, if it feels heavy, if it feels like really like oh, I don't know what to do, then don't do it, because that is not what you're supposed to be doing. That is your intuition telling you no. And you feel your intuition a lot in your solar plexus, which is in your stomach area. But if it feels like, oh, feels quite exciting, a few butterflies, could do this, then go for it, because that's the other side of the coin, that you don't have to know everything, you just have to trust, and you have to take that aligned action. But if it's so like, I really don't want to do this, it feels so bad to do it, then that is a big sign not to do something. But I think for me, I started listening to my intuition more and started allowing like aligned action and circumstances to come into my life and going with where I was guided to go, even if I didn't know where it's going to take me, just trusting that it's where I'm supposed to go.
I think for me, I sometimes wonder like how to get the right balance between following your intuition and being a little bit too reactive, if you know what I mean. But that's because, you know, I'm a project manager in background, so I always like to plan things out and then do them, but life doesn't always work that way. How do you kind of, have you got any tips on that kind of, so you're not being reactive? Well, you are actually in a way being reactive, because you're reacting to your intuition. Have you got any kind of anything you could sort of shed light on that a little bit, do you think?
For me, I think sometimes this thing, like we tend to overthink things so much, we get caught up in the mind, and we get caught up with our ego. And everyone has ego, and I preach about ego until the day I die. Everyone has ego, it's what keeps us human. But we live in an ego society, and we've moved away from the spirit, and we've moved away from the soul. So we get so caught up in like, it needs to happen now, I need to know what's happening, I need to have this information, and that's your ego, especially when you're wanting to put yourself out more, and ego raises up and like, are you sure you want to do that? Oh, because we're not qualified to do that, or we've never done that before. So then it keeps you playing small. But how I do it now is I listen to my higher self a lot, and the way I differentiate between ego and higher self. So your higher self it's the version of you, like the most enlightened version of your soul is what your higher self is. It's like part of your soul, but it's the most enlightened version. And for me, she talks a lot of wisdom, does my higher self. I'm like, I really need to listen to you a lot more sometimes. But your higher self is very guiding, and it's very gentle. It's like knowledge, like, oh my God, that is just totally spot on. Why didn't I think of that before? And very guiding and gentle, whereas the ego, when it's at play, is very fearful. So when you're taking action, it is about taking aligned action, but it's also about not overthinking things so much. Like I still am a bit of a procrastinator, but I used to overthink things so much, especially when I was in network marketing, because it wasn't my path. So I was overthinking, how do I get a sale? How do I speak to people? And how do I do this? Instead of just going with the flow of what I do now. Like when I share content on social media, I share what comes to me. I don't think, well, I need to post 10 times a day, and I need to do a business post, I need to do a personal post. I don't think it's like, if something comes to me, I share it. And if I don't share anything that day, then I wasn't supposed to share anything, but I take action that way with how it feels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense, actually. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, that clarifies that. Yeah. Wonderful. So, so tell us a bit about like your business now. It's really, I love hearing about your journey, like of the spiritual awakening and how that's all happened. But where are you at kind of now with your business? You're 9 months in.
Yeah.
So well. It's awesome. Now that you're on the right path.
Yeah. I think sometimes we get caught up so much in like what we're supposed to be doing, and we move away from what our soul wants really, and like what we are actually here to do. And this is, for me, like, understanding myself was like the biggest gift I could have given myself, is understanding myself and like choosing me. I've had an interesting like 9 months, because I knew last year, like this time last year, I knew that I was wanting a business online, and I had my website set up already, and I was kind of getting a little bit clarity of where I wanted to go, but I was still in the planning and thinking stage and not really taking action. But then I knew that my job was going to end on the 1st of June, because they gave me 8 weeks notice. I was on a temporary contract. I was like, right, 8 weeks, put myself out there. And I was absolutely petrified, because I decided that I wasn't going to look for another job, that this was it. I had a three-year-old daughter, I was married. I was like, but I'm not going to look for another job. 1st of June happened and my job ended, which I knew was going to happen. 31st of May, the day before, my mum got diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time. She got diagnosed, I think it's about 18 years ago. And then she went in for an operation for a double mastectomy on the 26th of June, and I left my husband that night as well, as you do. So I was like, in 4 weeks, I literally, my life went just like, wow. Couldn't make this up. But I was just, so I started my business properly, like I classed it as like the 1st of June, because that's when I didn't go back to work. And then I left my husband like three or 4 weeks later. And that for me was a period where I found myself. It was like the biggest catalyst for my growth was to move forwards and to like, do you know what, I'm going to choose me. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I haven't got a clue where I'm going. I've got a 3-year-old daughter. I'm on my own. I've got a house to look after. No savings, no finances or whatever like that. You know, I went on to government support, which I'm so grateful for, because it helped me leave an unhappy marriage. I was like, but I'm just going to go and do me, and I'm just going to figure it out as I go. And I think for me, and then obviously I had my website going, but I was still trying to find myself a little bit. And I found that I got caught up in other people's limiting beliefs a lot, other people's like money stories, because I started putting myself out doing tarot readings. And there's a lot of people who do freebies online. And it's like, if you want to do that, then that's totally cool, but don't put your limiting beliefs onto other people. And I was told you need to put yourself out so much and give so much value to get all these testimonials. And I just felt drained. Like, I am very sensitive to energy. So I just felt totally drained. I'm like, why am I doing this? Because the only people I'm attracting to my life now are those who want a freebie. So if I'm building a business, how can I build a business with freebie hunters? So then I started putting prices up there, and I started to stop doing freebies. And see some of the random messages I've had recently, people like wanting freebies. I'm just like, why? Yeah, so I started understanding more about myself, and then I also had not allowed myself time to recover from like the stress and the anxiety of leaving my husband. So I pretty much got shut down by spirit. In summertime, I was shut down. I couldn't do anything. It's so weird. I remember complaining about it to my friend. I'm like, I've got no energy, and every time I try and do something, the computer doesn't work. She's like, you're being shut down. You need time to recover. You need time to rest. I'm like, but I've got money to earn and everything. And they're like, just go to bed. So I did. I pretty much spent most of August in bed, just like recovering from like the anxiety and the stress and everything of it all. But then I started having more clarity with where I wanted to go, and I started wanting to put courses out there and do the coaching and do more of the readings. And I created a YouTube channel to do my readings on, and started doing more engaged content online and creating a group and everything. So it's like everything just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, you needed that recovery time.
I needed that recovery time and everything. I've got a friend going through something at the moment. I was like, you're being shut down. Literally, just don't worry about it, go to bed. She's like, but I need to do this. Like, you're being shut down, go to bed. And it's hard, and it's like, but you're fighting it. But really, spirit know, they know, and they will shut you down if you need like recovery and everything.
Yeah.
I just kind of like found myself more, and the more I kind of leaned into myself, and the more I understood who I am and who my soul is really. And I started like opening up more abilities and fine-tuning, like kind of like dusting off what I've done for like lifetimes before, and just not worrying about where I was going, which is what I've done before. And I think for me it comes with when you feel aligned with what you're doing and who you are, you don't really need to worry about it because it's always aligned. But if you're struggling constantly, it's like fighting battles with it, then it's not what you're supposed to be doing. It's not. And it's hard sometimes when people are like, but I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm like, but you're not, because it wouldn't feel so hard. Like I found, again, no disrespect to anyone in network marketing, I love the industry, but I found it so difficult. And I've made more in 8 short months than I ever made in 5 years in network marketing, which says to me, and I'm still not where I want to be yet, but I know exactly where I'm going, and it's just about stepping stones. But that for me is huge, because I've proved to myself, and that was a big mindset that I had to get over. I proved to myself that I can do this on my own. And I think that's what people need to understand, is like when you're aligned with where you're supposed to go and what you're here for, circumstances happen and experiences happen, and people come to your life and leave your life to allow you to move forward if you allow it. And you grow that way when you feel aligned with it.
Yeah, that's really valuable advice, Leanne. Thank you. Have you got any other kind of tips on, talking about intuition and hearing your intuition a lot? Do you do meditation or
any? Really bad for meditation. I keep getting right. So I am super sensitive to energy. I'm a highly intuitive empath. I'm a very ancient soul as well. Like I've done this for like lifetimes and lifetimes. And I've got friends in the spiritual community are very similar to me, like very highly powerful, highly attuned empaths. And they'll be like, if you don't meditate at the moment and you kind of know all this stuff, what are you going to be like when you meditate? I was like, I know, I need to meditate more. So I do a little bit, but not as much as like some people. Some people just meditate loads. I'm like, I don't do that. I think for me, because I like to be high energy. So for me, it's hard to come back down to and just sit and do nothing. I find it hard. But I did do some meditation yesterday. I was like quite proud of myself for doing that. No, I just kind of, your intuition, it's what works for you. I do a lot of writing, so a lot of journaling as well, and I'm a channel, so I like channel spirit when I'm writing as well. So I found that really good for developing your intuition, and also understanding what your abilities are, because I always knew that I had abilities, but I just thought everybody thought like me and sensed like me and everything, and I realized that they didn't. So I'm claircognizant, so I know; clairvoyant, so I see; clairaudient, so I hear; clairsentient, I feel; clairsense, so I smell, and that's a weird one. I mean, obviously an empath and just visionary and everything, but I think it's finding what works for you. Like meditation works for some people, journaling works for other people, but also it's just not doubting. Because I remember in 2017 I did some kind of training course around like spiritual gifts or something, and I was doubting so much what's coming up for me, and now I don't. Like whatever comes to me, I just say it and I just go with it, because I know that that's spirit communicating with me. But like 18 months ago, I was still in that doubting phase, like, is that real? Like, did I hear that? Did I see that?
Right.
Are they going to think I'm weird for saying that? And when people were wanting a reading, and I just like I could read energy through photos. I remember doing a little game with my friend, my colleague, and we're showing each other photos of people that we knew and asking the other person to read them. And she showed me a photo of one of her friends, and I told her some stuff about this person. I have no idea who he was or anything. And she was just like, oh my God, like, how did you pick that up? I was like, I don't know. I just know this kind of stuff. So but it's developing what's good for you and what works for you, but trusting. That is like my biggest advice to anyone looking to work with their intuition, their psychic abilities, is just to trust. Like the images you see and what you hear in your mind and what you feel in your body and everything. Just trust. And the more you trust and the more you lean into that, the more that it develops and the more that it comes through.
Yeah. Did you have these kind of abilities like when you were growing up, when you were a kid, or that you were?
I think my earliest memory of having something different was when I was 9 or 10, and I remember I've always been very claircognizant, so I know stuff. And I remember opening the curtains one Sunday morning, and the telephone rang, like before mobiles. A telephone rang in my parents' bedroom, and I immediately knew that it was something to do with my granddad. And it was my grandma on the phone saying that he'd passed away that morning, but I just knew in my mind. And I had other instances where I just knew things about people, but I just thought everybody was like me, and that they thought like me and they saw like me. And it wasn't until I started connecting with more people in spiritual communities that I started understanding that we all have intuition. It's just some of us choose to use it and some of us choose to develop it. And not everyone has the same gifts as you, because your soul chooses these gifts before you come here, like what you're going to need in kind of like your armory to allow you to do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, I suppose going into a shop and have one of those and one of those and one of those and everything, like filling up your little shopping trolley of like of gifts, really. And I've got a lot that I chose because I wanted to make a big impact in this life.
I'm sure you will. Yeah, I'm sure you are doing already. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know you said before you've got a young daughter. And how do you go about kind of juggling the whole? Because a lot of my listeners are juggling like kids or babies with growing a business, so kind of part-time. How do you find, how do you tend to juggle that yourself? It
is, I think for me, like I was always and I will say this, I used to be very selfish, and I like being selfish. I think we have to be selfish with our time. We have to be. And I think becoming a parent was a real eye-opener for me. I mean, I know that you're never going to be on your own, and you can't even go to the toilet without them watching you. Sometimes I have the cat and the daughter there watching me. I'm like, but she insists on her own privacy. And I'm like, why don't I get privacy? But I was always very much like, I like my independence, and I knew that was going to be a big shift for me. It was like not fully being able to be on my own. Because I have my daughter, and obviously I'm grateful for her, I absolutely love her, but sometimes I just need my space as well. And then obviously I left my husband 8 or 9 months ago, so I do actually get a couple of days on my own, which it helps me to recharge in that time. That's when I do the most amount of work. So she's 3, she's starting school in September, but she goes to preschool 3 days a week, and then she's with her daddy 2 days. So, and then the other 2 days I have her, or my mum will come over for a little bit. So I tend to, with my work, Sundays and Mondays are my big days where I just throw myself into my work, because I've got no other distractions. So sometimes I'll just sit in my dressing gown all day and just like do stuff and whatever. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she's at preschool, so I tend to set my hours for like 10 till 4 are like my working hours on those 3 days. And sometimes I do stuff on an evening, like I'm really bad for like staying up really late, but I realise now that just doing 10 till 4 3 days a week is still like, what's that, 18 hours, isn't it? And then my Sundays and Mondays and everything. So I kind of juggle it that way. And Tuesdays are always my day with my daughter, and so are Saturdays until her daddy picks her up. But it's almost like the universe conspired to like give me those 2 days on my own, because when we're together, I didn't get any time like that. So I think my business would be very different. I'm not encouraging people to leave their husbands, but I think my business would have been different if I was still with him, because I wouldn't have those days on my own. It's almost like the universe needed to get rid of somebody so that I could step into I know that he was a big catalyst for me, so I could step into myself to get my business off the ground, because I couldn't have done that beforehand. Funny how things work like that. But
then you find your I think you said Tuesday and Saturday you can just be really present with your daughter.
That's what I do. And obviously I'm an evening with her as well until she goes to bed, but usually by the time she goes to bed, and I sit next to her, she's in my bed at the moment, and I just sit next to her, and then I just end up chilling out upstairs in bed for like an hour and just like resetting. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should go and do some work, but now I'm like, no, just go and read a book or whatever and do your work the other day. And I think when you're wanting to make such a big impact, you want to grow a big business, it's it's really easy just to kind of get caught up in everything without taking time out for yourself. And that's something that I have to work on a lot, is to take that time out for myself as well, and not be constantly like, oh, I need to work on my website, or I need to do this for a client, or whatever.
Because it's never all done, is it? There's always
no,
more.
exactly. There's always something to do, and I always think like, oh, I could be doing more. But then if you're tired and you've got no energy, then how can you be fully present with things? So you might as well just that's the big lesson for me, is just to switch things off and just have my time as well, as opposed to just constantly.
Yeah, that's something that I actually talk about on my blog quite a bit as well. It's just that self-care, that time.
Yeah.
And like self-care often sounds like, you know, going off for a bath or whatever, but self-care can just be reading a book or going for a walk or just like chilling out.
Watching something crap on TV with a glass of wine and some chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, listen to music or anything really, but it's letting yourself have kind of time off, time to play, time to just never, not just on. I think that is the danger, I think, when you have your own business, is that it is.
And that's something I'm working a lot with at the moment, is like making sure that I am more energized and I can do more, because I don't need to be working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I don't. So, but if I'm going to bed earlier and I'm reading and chilling out, then I feel better in myself than I do if I go to bed at midnight after sitting on my computer all night.
Oh yeah.
So that is a big learning curve for me that I'm still working on.
I've been there, done that, and it's so tempting, but then it really burns me out as well.
It does, yeah.
Learning how to kind of take that time off. You were mentioning before about sort of soul, or I was thinking actually to mention the soul readings that you do, soul purpose readings and things like that. So tell us a little bit like about your offerings. I know people often kind of stuck as to what they should be doing, and
my work is I understood. I never really resonated with the word coach. Something obviously I do coaching, but I never really resonated with that. And I understood that my particular type of energy, this is one of my other shopping trolley kind of like acquisitions that I chose, is how I'm like a catalyst for other people. So my energy acts as a catalyst for, I use the word trigger, but I realized now that not everybody resonates well with the word trigger, but that's basically what I do. And it's not in a bad way, but my soul is there to act as a catalyst for other people's growth. I get people to see what they can't see themselves. I get people to look within. I do a lot with shadow work as well, and soul purpose. And I'm all about helping you see what you cannot see for yourself and awakening what's already within you. It's not about me giving you the key. It's about showing you where your own keys are, so that you can take them. Because I think sometimes when people work with other people, like I've invested loads in myself over the years, but sometimes it haven't been very good investments that I've not chosen very wisely for myself.
Right.
Thinking that somebody could do it all for me, which is a totally wrong way. It's like when you're going to invest in yourself, it's not about somebody doing everything for you and just like, oh, do you know what? You just sit back and I'll do it all for you. It's not. It's about, I like to get under the skin with people and under the surface to help you understand who you actually are, and to show you like what's going on for you, to show you shadows. I always say that your shadows are your genius, and the shadows, people get confused with shadows and think that it's a bad thing, but we all have shadows, and the shadows are the part of us that are either we consciously decide that we don't like. For example, you might not, you might not feel very confident in how you look or something like that, so that's a shadow. Or it could be subconscious, that it's just a personality trait that you have, but it keeps getting triggered. Like we're all mirrors for each other, so whatever you see in somebody else, if it's a positive quality, then that's something that you value in yourself. But if it's something in somebody else that you don't like, then that is an invitation for you to look within. And people are like, but like I can't admit that there's anything wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with you. It's just, we're all human, we're all on this learning curve. So that's how I act with people, is to show you who you are. And that's what I do with shadow work, is to kind of dig deeper, because when you go to the darkness and you go to the shadows and you shine the light onto your shadows, that shows you where your genius is. Because whatever you're hiding from, you're hiding it in your shadows, but the world wants to see that element. So for me, I was kind of hiding who I am, and I was hiding away from who I am, and I didn't really have a voice. But my impact on the world is to have a voice, and it is to show up fully as myself. So that's me shining a light onto that shadow, kind of being like a light bringer, and bringing the lightness to that darkness. And that's what I do group coaching with people. I'm running one at the moment called Back to Soul, so that's all about like your soul purpose. I do my intuitive tarot readings as well. I'm just about to launch like a 12-week one-to-one program as well, and I've always got
fantastic.
So I was just like, I need to do this, but because I am a visionary, I'm a multi-passionate visionary, I get so many downloads and ideas coming to me, and some people used to confuse me and say things like, oh, but you can only work on one thing, you can only have one niche. I'm like, but that's just bullshit, really, because I don't work like that. Like, I'm not, I'm just me when I've got loads of things going on and loads of ideas coming to me. That is the purpose of me being a multi-passionate visionary. So why aren't I using that? Why am I buying into somebody else's limiting belief that they can't do that when this is how my energy works? Like, I had conversations,
like you said before, trusting that, isn't it?
Exactly. And this is the thing, I think you have to find what works for you and who you are. And somebody might say to you, you can't do that in your business. You have to follow this structure. And I'm a rebel. Like my Facebook group is called Awakened Rebels, because I'm all about being different and having a voice. I'm like, but that doesn't work for me, so I'm not going to do it. I don't like funnels. I don't like them. So why would I choose to use them in my business? Like, you don't have to do what everyone else is telling you to do. You have to just find what works for you. And that can be hard when everyone's saying what they need to do. But I do group programs and the one-to-one, and obviously my intuitive readings as well. And I've got courses. I've developed a tarot course as well. So I've got other courses that I'm wanting to put out there.
Tarot, as in teaching other people how to read?
How to read tarot, yeah. So I've had some really good feedback on that so far, and people have taken it. But I've got more courses that I'm wanting to plan, and workshops and other one-to-ones, and I'm just like, seriously,
you've got a lot to do.
Like, I'm only one woman. But like, I think that's why I like push myself so much, because I've got so much that I want to achieve. But I've got a lot going on, but I like it. I work better when I've got a lot going on. Yeah.
And where's the best place for people to find you if they want to find out more, or get a soul reading or soul purpose reading or something like that? Where's the best place?
So my website is leannejuliette.com. That's my main website. And then I also have my group, Awakened Rebels, which is on Facebook.
That's
a free group, I have just launched I'm always launching stuff. So I have just launched a paid group as well, because I get a lot of people asking for my intuitive guidance all the time. And this was a biggie for me, was learning to set boundaries with people, because I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this, and I realized that I had to set boundaries. So now I'm setting up this group, which is all about it's called Awaken Rebels on Fire. So it's kind of finding yourself and tuning more into your authentic self, but also access to my intuitive guidance as well, as opposed to just being in a group and not really getting anything. And then I've got my YouTube channel as well, which is Leanne Juliette Awaken Rebels. So that's another one as well where you can find me.
And I'll post those when I post a video. I'll post those underneath as well, which is great. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Leanne, is also like, what if you've got a book recommendation?
I have it here.
Have you? It's one I prepared earlier.
So this is one that I started reading at the beginning of my spiritual journey.
Oh my God, I love that book.
Yeah, Light is the New Black by Rebecca Campbell. And I am on with writing a book as well. That's my other next step as well.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes. But for me, it's just, this book was all about, it says here, follow what lights you up and you'll light up the world. And that is just my message completely. It's just, stop trying to be somebody that you're not. Stop trying to be what everybody else wants of you, and just be yourself and find what lights you up, and then just go and do it. And because you will make money when you go and do what lights you up. If you're just doing something for the sake of it, or staying in a job because you have to, or doing a business that doesn't really like fill you with any inspiration, then it's not lighting you up. But when you find what lights you up, you just have fun with it. And I understood with my own energy that I make money when I'm creative and I have fun. So if I'm not feeling creativity or fun with something, I don't do it, because it doesn't work for me. Like if a particular type of reading I was doing, or a particular service that I was offering didn't feel good for me, I was like, but I've not been creative with that, so I won't do it. And it's okay to let go of stuff. But I love this book because it's all about understand. It's more for like beginners, like at the beginning of their spiritual journey, and just kind of finding yourself and understanding like who you are a lot more. But it's a really, really good book.
Yeah, I love that book. And actually, interestingly, over here in the US, it has a different color. It's the same pattern, but different color cover. It's more like pink.
Black. Oh, is it?
No, it's like a.
Is it? Yeah. She's got another one I've not read yet. It's called Rise, Sister, Rise. That's more about like the rising of the divine feminine and the wild woman rising and everything. But I've not read that one yet.
Sounds pretty fascinating too.
Yeah.
So my last kind of question or a little bit of questions was about the future. I know we've talked about it before, maybe you writing a book and so on. Is that on the cards?
Yes, it is. My book I want to write, like Spirit keep giving me these signs. It's like I have pushy guides with me and I'm always like, just give me a chance. Like, again, I am just one person. I want to write a book that's kind of about my journey and finding myself, but also a little bit similar to this book. This book inspires me. So kind of like having ways that you can step into yourself and activities you can do and how you can feel more inspired and kind of connect more with your purpose and understand your shadows as well. But I'm just kind of like trying to figure it all out in my mind before I like put pen to paper and everything. And also moving forward with like, what else do I say? As a visionary, it's really cool being a visionary because I get these really cool visions. I'm like,
quite handy actually.
That's really good. I love that. So I've got a talk show that I'm wanting to put out there as well, like on my website, like with podcasts. Also some motivational speaking as well. And I know that I will be a multimillionaire through my business as well. Wow. Just being myself, because I was always put down, especially in my marriage, for being myself. So now I'm just like being a rebel and going against the grain and just being myself and getting paid for it. And that's where I see myself going. And it just feels really good to do that and to show other people how they can be themselves and just create the life that they want, really.
Oh, I love that, Leanne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you again. I'm so glad that we reconnected.
Yeah.
I love
no coincidences, and there's no coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Well, it's been great, and I loved all the tips you've given us, especially on tuning into your intuition and how to like really kind of trust and sit into that.
Trust is such a biggie. If you can understand how to trust yourself, then you've pretty much got it made.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Again, leannejuliette.com. Go find her there, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks.